At Croix de Chevalier is the great sloping wall that surrounds the central keep. Known as a talus, it prevented the enemy undermining the towers.
The idea being that if you do get penetrate into that, it all falls down on top of you.
Despite the web of fortifications, by 1187 the tide was turning against the Templars. Their great enemy, Saladin.
The Templars came in and occupied this place after the Moors and everybody that was up in that. See, they actually killed a lot of those people because they rose in power and they were so barbaric that they weren't going to listen to nobody. Because this is the beginning of the Jews right here. You might not understand that, but when I say this to you, what I'm saying to you is they were very, very wise when I tell you they took little kids and programmed them to grow up to be this mob of people you see right here. They did that. They taught them from small babies just like they get our kids in their schools today and teach them to be dumbass, obedient consumers from small children. And we sat around and let them entice us to put our children in front of their TV with a bowl of their sugar sweetened cereal. And we lost our children right there.
Swept through the Holy Land, grabbing town after town from the Christians. Ultimately, he captured Jerusalem.
And here's what the deal is. Only thing they was doing was double-crossing each other because the Christians and the Zionists and they all was, the Muslim, all of them was invented by the Jews. So the only thing they did is flip the script, and because they were all, before anything, all people. So now they get these stupid titles and make themselves be dichotomized by these stupid groups that they join. Same thing like Mexicans, blacks, niggas, you know, Puerto Ricans, same thing. If you let someone call you a Puerto Rican, you just made yourself belong to a group of people who identify themselves as Puerto Rican. And you can ask all yourselves, well, when did you start calling yourself that? And everybody would know. I mean, when did you actually give that to that name to your nationality? Did you get that name from God? And they'd be like, no, well, who gave you that name? And we all know who gave everybody new names. The person who enslaved everyone.
Within months, his army was at the gates of Tortosa, the Templars' military headquarters. The city fell, but the knights managed to shelter within the castle. The Templars needed to regroup. They set about rebuilding their fortifications. David Nicole is searching for clues as to how they reinforced Tortosa.
Now this diagonal line here is a beautiful clue.
Look at the stones, okay? Look at them. Those are the same stones you see in Egypt. See? You see? These master masons went there and cut the same type of stones and built these structures. See how big they are? Same thing. Same thing. And the way they do it is they just find stone and they had the gavel and they would gavel the stone into the shape they wanted according to what hole they were going to fill and stick it in. Though they're not as well built as the homes, as the buildings at the Giza Plateau because they had difference in the significance of why they were being built. But the thing about it is you can see the craftsmanship, and later most of the stuff you see is just stucco stone that come in to fill the ever deteriorating gaps. But get to the bottom of all that, you're going to see these stones in there. But we talking about ancient, old stuff that they're not going to tell you the black man is responsible for building also. Because we were on this earth for millions of years before you white people even showed up. So don't get mad at me for coming out and telling the truth and exposing the lies. Because see, you can't just pop up out of nowhere and have structures all over the planet that outdate you. And then you want to sit in the seat of being the person that brought the knowledge. And then when someone come along and bust you and say, no, you didn't. You're just a person who came in and murdered everyone and stole the knowledge and claimed it for yourself and tried to suppress us and never let us know that this was the dynamics of our history. But your plan failed because we're waking up.
I think you can say with reasonable certainty that that marks the line of the talus that went around the base of this tower.
This talus meant Tortosa would now resist an enemy.
Now see, you look at that tower right there, and you're going to tell me that these Europeans went up there and built these towers out of nowhere in defense of warring against themselves. Now, in order to build this, you would all have to be on one accord with each other. That means that you shouldn't be warring with each other. It would take a serious, unified nation of people to build this. And that unified nation of people were the African men and women who built these type of structures all over China. The Great Wall of China was built for the same purpose, to keep the European vagabonds from coming in stealing every damn thing. The only reason why you don't know this is because after they did accomplish their mission of murdering everyone and stealing all their history and all their wealth, they built their elaborate schools, and they sent all the people who was launched and mixed breeded and knowledge of self stolen away from them and all your discoloration lightened up. They sent us to their schools and perpetuated in our mind the need for us to be more and more white like them. So the whole ideal of our blackness and our unique connection with the sunlight knowledge that we can attain through our melanin, responding to sunlight sigils, they want that to stay hid from us, because when we wake up, we'll go back to building stuff like this. And you can see when we be turned to the minds we are, where we can build this, that they can't build because you don't see them building it now. And if they were the ones who built it, they can still build them, but they can't. Because if they could, they'd be doing it. And that's the reason they can't. You know, it's just real simple. This stuff takes precision work to do, and you got to be dedicated spiritually to do it. The only thing you're going to get from them is them building their little pedophile ass churches so they can worship their homosexuality and their evil, or skyscrapers and everything so they can launch another building to go in and plan administration's tactics to go out and enslave the rest of the people all around the world. Other than that, building something like this, it'll be a damn prison. That's what it would be, a prison. That's all they can do. This right here was built so the people inside of it could protect themselves from the people outside that they known and have become accustomed to going all around the planet, climbing over the walls, stealing people's daughters, raping people, eating your dogs, everything. Just vagabonds. And you can still find traces of these people, because they will be people that goes around with the characteristics of selfish, greedy people that don't mind killing your ass so they don't have to give you your share of the pie. Now, who do we know that to be? Zionists. Same damn word.
Attempting to undermine its walls. Inside, David Nicole makes another discovery. It is clear the inner section of the keep, containing a weapon store and cistern, is surrounded by a later fortification.
What the Templars do is build this extra bit on the outside. They strengthen and greatly enlarge this. And on the outside of that, the sea. The whole structure is now very strong indeed.
David's find reveals how reinforcements were constructed around the existing keep at Tortosa. This second wall created a passage where archers could hide to defend the inner fortifications. In combination with the talus, the keep within the castle at Tortosa was now impregnable. But despite the unparalleled fortifications, the Templars were unable to resist the tide of the Muslim forces who wanted to sweep them out of the Holy Land. By the end of the 13th century, every Templar castle had fallen, except Tortosa. But without their network of castles, the Templars were doomed. Realizing all was lost, they retreated to a tiny island less than a mile from Tortosa. Their wealth, secrecy, and brutality were about to come back to haunt them. By 1291, the Templars had failed in their tasks to defend the Christian territories of the Holy Land. Their seemingly impregnable fortresses had fallen. The Templars were pushed back to the coast, to Tortosa, the only castle they still held. But without their once great network, this castle too would soon fall. The Templars were left with little choice but to escape.
Tortosa became pointless in a way and indefensible. So in August of 1291, the Templars got on their boats and sailed away.
The Templars sailed to the island of Cyprus. This was a secure base where they could regroup, ready to launch an attack on the mainland to retake Tortosa and the castle network. They assembled a fleet of ships designed to transport the knights to the mainland. Horses would be essential to this new assault, and the Templar ships were designed to transport up to 30 animals each. But the journey by sea from Cyprus to Tortosa is over 100 miles. Transporting horses over this distance would be challenging.
Horses get seasick just like humans do. Unlike humans, horses can't throw up, and that causes a problem.
Launching an attack with sick horses would be disastrous, so the Templars needed a staging point for the animals to recover. Less than a mile off the coast of Tortosa is the island of Ruad.
If you have Ruad, you can bring the horses by transport, take them off, rest them up, then put them back on the ship and take them the mile or so over to the mainland, and they won't be in bad shape when you get there.
Do you see what I'm saying? A whole history of nothing but brilliantly strategizing ways to kill people. That's the only thing you're going to get out of these people. That's the only thing, and you can't get mad at me for pointing it out, because even now, we're at war. And everybody in America is scared off their ass that these Europeans going to come over here and murder everyone and put them in the damn concentration camps. That these people have brilliantly strategized and planned ways to kill people. It's just a damn shame. And then these is the same people who have stolen all the wealth from my family and have the nerve to frown at me when I come out here and point out to the world the reason why the sun is getting ready to burn every damn thing up is because we've all sat around here and let our earth become a big pile of shit.
In 1300, the Knights Templar set sail for Ruad Island with a huge garrison of 120 knights and 500 archers, ready to launch the attack.
Ready to kill, just like they doing today.
The Templars came back here in force, intending to use it as a beachhead to retake Tortosa and then the entire mainland.
And what's incredible about them is that they always tell the story of their barbarism in a way where they find total straight up honor in it. As if not to say we're ashamed of what we do. And it's like I get a rush when I think about my whole history being based on nothing but us murdering each other and killing all the niggas on the planet. You know, that's sad. It's really, because they make it like nothing is doing, oh, it was war. You know, since they gave it a word, all the acts that go on inside of it, for some reason, are not as dramatic and as severe as, you know, they otherwise would be. Because we call it, because it's war.
The territory in the Holy Land now held by the Knights Templar was Ruad, an island less than half a mile across.
Imagine having held all of that, the coastline that we can see, having been in the city of Tortosa, the cathedral, Crac de Chevalier, Chasteaurouge, Châteaublanc, all those great structures in those networks of castles across the hinterland, and having lost them all, having been reduced to possessing an island only slightly larger than the dimensions of the city of Tortosa.
But in 1302, things went from bad to worse for the Knights Templar. A Muslim force got wind of their garrison on Ruad, threatening the mainland. They launched an amphibious attack.
Made contact on 2 points on the island, attacked the Templars and their infantry, drove the Templars back to a castle, a fortress, possibly this one on this end of the island, and separated them from their infantry. And there was fierce house-to-house fighting in the narrow alleyways and the buildings that were on the island.
Realizing the game was up, the Knights Templars surrendered. Their last foothold had fallen to the enemy. The era of the Templars as defenders of the Holy Land was over.